materialistic world, where can I find meaning? Number 2, in a confusing world, where can I find guidance? Question number 3, in a broken world, where can I find liberation? And it is a broken world. Tonight, 22,000 children will die from hunger and other preventable causes. 7 million women and children will be sold into sexual slavery this year alone. When the global financial crisis hit a couple of years ago, we were worried that our unemployment rate might reach 8%. Try living in Haiti, where it's 70% unemployment, 80% of the population living under the poverty line, and that was before the devastating earthquake of a year ago. Of course, we've got our own problems here too. We've got to run national campaigns to curb domestic violence. Department of Community Services can't find enough foster carers to look after all the troubled kids on the books. I think it's about 30% of us, 1 in 3, relies on some sort of mood-altering substance to get through the day. Alcohol, drugs, antidepressants. 30% of Australians rely on some kind of substance like that just to get through the day. We've got our problems. In a broken world, we're asking, where can I find liberation? The trends I find associated with this, also very fascinating. How about the rise of counselling centres over the last decade? You know that the counselling centre is now the fastest growth area and growth sector in Australia, is the counselling centre. We are longing to be liberated from all of our addictions. We're longing to be liberated from all of those things that hold us back from being fully human, as that phrase I heard just before was mentioned. Or how about the rise of forgiveness being adopted by the human services areas, psychology, psychiatry? For the last decade, forgiveness has been a major area of research. Now, remind me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't forgiveness the domain of the Christian church? And over the last decade, all the researchers will tell you it's become a major trend within psychology and psychiatry. Psychology is getting spiritual. Then there's the rise, there's a whole heap of trends with this. Then there's the rise of what's called the secular confessional. Anybody come across any of these before? Telephone lines and websites set up for people to come clean on their bad deeds. There's a guy in New York who set up a telephone line, sent out a little flyer around to everybody in his neighbourhood. It says, you know, if you've done something bad, you want to get it off your chest, how about you ring this number? Nobody at the other end, it's just a recorded message. Starts getting 400 calls a week. Frank Warren was an artist, and he produced 1,000 blank postcards, and he stood on a corner and he handed out 1,000 of these postcards, and he said, I want you to tell me a secret or a confession that you've never told anybody before. I want you to illustrate it, and here's my address, you can post it back to me. All those 1,000 cards came back to him, and today, 3 years later, he still gets 1,000 cards every week of people who are doing that. He's made whole books out of it. He's made a good little living out of it, actually. And as a result of that, all these websites have started up with URLs like notproud.com and airyoursins.com. So it seems suddenly confession is all the rage. Now, yes, some of it is, it's clearly fabricated. Some of it is purely voyeuristic. Some of this does not have the ring of truth, but some of it does have the ring of truth. How about this confession from a girl who had cheated on her boyfriend, and she said this, I'm sorry. I don't believe in a God, but I feel I need to finally tell someone the truth, even if it's just the internet. The church going might stop, but the desire of the heart to be liberated from its guilt and from its shame seems not to. Something's gone wrong with the world, and we all know it. We all know that the earth has kind of slipped off its axis and needs to be put right, and we want to wait for that day where there's no more wars and pandemics will cease and relationships will work and broken bodies will be made whole. We long for global and personal liberation, and friends, do you hear a voice? Do you hear a whisper of one who says, behold, I am making all things new?